You're watching, an exclusive press conference with Barron County Sheriff Chris Fitzgerald right here on Positive Tuesday, today, October 18th, 2022. It feels like a press conference, kind of a show today, Fitzy.
It kind of has been.
Yeah. For Barron County Sheriff Chris Fitzgerald, I'm Ben Dryden, and you're watching Positive Tuesday with Ben and Fitzy, presented by Professional Exteriors and Interiors. With nearly 20 years of experience, this locally owned and operated business provides quality work both on the outside and on the inside of your home or business. So give them a call today. The number's right there on the screen, 715-520-2271. Like Fitzy and I, they believe that it's the little things that make a big difference. Positive Tuesday is also brought to you in part by the Wisconsin Lakes team. It's still a great time to buy or sell a home, and when you do, we recommend our friends from the Wisconsin Lakes team. Anyone can say that they're an agent, but not everyone treats their clients as they would like to be treated, and that's what Aaron and Katie do. You can find out more by visiting them on their website at lakesteamwy.com. Also supporting the show are our friends at Industrial Safety. We all know that Industrial Safety sells and services practically everything that goes into a fire station and on a firefighter, but they also provide kitchen suppression system maintenance, inspections, and installs. For more information about this service and to see a list of all of their available services, visit their website at industrialsafetystore.com. Fitzy, morning.
Morning. How are you? I was reading all the press releases you have written down here. So
Yeah, good night.
yeah,
This is a whole lot is going on. So before, so here's some of the things that I wrote down because it's last week we were on. And by the way, good morning, Molly and Jody, and of course Sharon. Oh, good morning, everyone. So some of the things that we're going to get to, and I just put these in chronological order based on date. These are the headlines: convicted sex offender to be homeless following release in Barron County. We were supposed to talk about that last week. We had to cancel the show. Man sentenced to 9 years for meth trafficking. Alcohol contributing factor in UTV crash. Crash on Highway 53 results in death of 79-year-old driver. Man, there's a whole bunch we have to get to.
Yeah.
Holy cow. But first, as always, how's it going? What something get you? There has to be some kind of a positive.
Oh yeah, there's been a lot of positive.
All right.
There's a lot of good people in the world, and there's a lot of support for law enforcement, and it feels good. But and we needed it, and there's a lot of things going on, and we're busy, but there's good in the world, and that's why we keep doing what we're doing.
Well, should be. I mean, do you want me to because I went onto your Facebook page, the Barron County Sheriff's Office department, I think is what you call it. Yep. It's an office. You really should start calling it that.
I should.
And there was a lot of positive comments, and I'm I feel like I should start saying negative things just to balance it out a little bit.
Right? Yeah, I know. I'm like, where are all these negative people?
I know. That's great. Well, I have something positive that's both personal and professional.
Okay.
And that is, we put up a post yesterday, and the headline is Wisconsin Library Association named Spooner Library Director Angie. We call her Miss Angie because I can never remember how to pronounce her last name. Librarian of the Year. What?
Awesome. There you go.
And Miss Angie, she was on our show a month and a half ago or so.
And isn't that ironic that she was on our show? And
I'm just saying. I'm connecting the dots here. Boy, it comes on our show. Because, Riley, one of my daughters, she has a job there, which you and I totally got at that job, right? I mean, we put a lot of pressure on them. And then she comes on the show, skipping, Librarian of the Year. But still, how cool is that? How many libraries are in Wisconsin? And little Spooner, Librarian of the Year. Congratulations, Miss Angie.
That is pretty special. So.
Yeah, it is. All right, so where do we want to start? Again, I put all these in chronological order, but I suppose we should start with the one that canceled our show last week.
Yeah, we probably should start there.
Yep, so with the original headline, there's been a couple of updates, but the original headline, this would have been during our show last week, so you sent like 8:45, and that was driver arrested for OWI after crash leaves 2 teen girls in critical condition, another with serious injuries. We know now, of course, that those 2 teenage girls that had critical injuries have subsequently and since passed. The other one, I don't know what the status is on that, but obviously this is where most people want to know any updates on that. So Walk us through. Tell us what you can tell us about that situation.
Sure. And yeah, it is still very active, and we're still investigating it. But yeah, obviously, everyone knows that we lost a 15-year-old girl and a 14-year-old girl from an accident.
Crash.
So a crash, yeah, it's a
So
crash.
I always call them crashes because accidents implies no one's at fault. And I never know if anyone's at fault, so I just always refer to them as crashes.
That's a good point. And we do have a 16-year-old in custody. He is still in custody. That is a question I get asked almost every day. And he is still in secure detention in custody, waiting some formal proceedings that are above my pay grade. First time in, 25, 26 years of law enforcement that I've had a case like this involving a juvenile that may or may not be waived into adult court. I'm learning that process, and again, I don't have a say in it either way, so it doesn't really matter what I think. But I've never been in a situation like this. So
Really?
yeah.
For some reason, that's a
Yeah.
good thing that you've never been in that situation. But 25 years, and Barron County, relatively speaking, is a larger county compared to Rusk,
Mhm.
Burnett, Washburn, Sawyer.
Right.
I'm surprised by that, actually.
Yeah, well, I've just never, it is interesting, and I thought of that myself. I'm like, geez, I just don't remember a case where you know, they've always been a clear juvenile or a clear adult. I mean, there's never been this borderline, but again, this is a major incident. I mean,
Yeah.
this obviously we don't have many accidents where two people die, no matter what kind of fatality it is. There's normally not two deaths, and especially two kids.
Yeah.
And we'll get into that in just a second.
Can I ask you, and I don't know what you can say, what you can't, but I have a few things. So you had said that the 16-year-old is in secure detention. Why? Can you help us understand, maybe not this specifically, but why isn't he in jail? In when I go to I just posted the Barron County weekly jail bookings this morning on our website. His name's not on there. Why isn't he just in jail?
Because we don't allow anybody under the age of 17 in a county jail.
We as in Barron County, or is that like a law or no? But that's just how it goes.
I don't know of a jail that lets anybody under 17 in it. You have to have certain state requirements to meet those needs.
Okay.
I don't know of a jail in our area that does allow that. That's why we
Okay, so gets transported kind of by default, and that's the closest location is Eau Claire?
Yes, Eau Claire would be the closest. In fact, we took another juvenile for a separate incident involving human services to a different. I didn't know there was more. There is, but this one was full, and they needed to go to a different one. So not involving this case, involving another case that didn't have anything to do with law enforcement. When you get put in secure detention, either by human services, human services has to put you in secure detention. So so we work because they're a juvenile. They get human services gets involved. So our human services is involved in this case, and then you get placed in secure detention. There's only certain things you can get placed in secure detention for, and I don't have them off the top of my head, but there's not just everything. You can't just kick the front door open, of a house and get put in secure detention. It just doesn't work that way. It's like major felonies, arsons, obviously like murder, things like that. I mean, there's obviously major crimes are why you get placed in secure detention.
Or in this case, without getting too much into it, but there's potentially individuals that are going to die.
Correct.
Got it.
And he was under the influence of a controlled substance or suspicion of being under the influence of a controlled substance. Obviously, that was in the press release. So there is some factors in this case that that raise it to the level of being able to be placed in secure detention. And so he is there. And the third girl, the 14-year-old girl that was in Marshfield Hospital, my understanding is now home and recovering.
Oh, good.
So there's still some major hurdles to get over there, but she is home. Had some issues with her arm, and now she has to let that rest so they can go back and do some other.
But she's alive.
Yeah, 100%.
Oh, yeah.
So, there's still she's got some big hurdles to climb over yet, but she is, I would say good. I don't know, I suppose physically she will be good. Obviously, mentally, she lost her friends and some things like that.
Yeah.
So,
But she's
and
currently in a non-life threatening,
correct.
she's not that, okay. And again, that's a victory. Or that's a win, I should say. I mean, it's not, but it is, comparatively. So, there's nice. David, hey, Sheriff, why don't you get out there and find the drugs that 16-year-old boy had instead of pat yourself on the back thinking you doing. All right, we're going to work on sentence structure at some point, but that's okay.
Well, then, we do go out there and find the drugs, and we're happy to do that. And I have no problem going out there and finding the drugs, and we do that every day of the week. If you happen to know some information about that, we'll be happy to do that. And
Right.
that is two things out of this accident. Well, something good is going to. I'm not patting myself on the back at all. And so, two things out of this is the way people treated that accident scene and got in our way is coming to an end, and the way people have information about kids and cases and they don't tell us till after the fact has got to come to an end. We can do a lot with information. We just can't do it unless people tell us. We don't have a crystal ball. We can't just otherwise be able to stop a lot of this. So no one's patting themselves on the back, and I take offense to that, and you can write whatever you want, and I don't really care. This one has affected me a little bit differently, and it affected our people a little bit differently. But the way people treated and wouldn't go back and wouldn't leave our scene, and we're taking pictures of this scene, is coming to an end. We're going to see, we had to put police line up. This was the first accident crime crash scene that I had to put police line up to keep people back. People were taking pictures. Don't take pictures and put them on the internet. I mean, it's ridiculous. We had to have firemen hold sheets up because people wouldn't move away. We're trying to save people's lives, and we have to worry about the crowd. I had to call more cops in just to do some crowd control. So it was ridiculous.
Yeah, talk about wasting a lot of taxpayers' money.
Yeah. So,
and I think we talked a couple weeks ago in our last show. I don't remember what this was about specifically, but that sometimes just because you could doesn't mean you should.
right.
I mean, it's fine, you don't want to take a picture, but man, just be careful, right? You start posting that stuff on social media. Like if you want to take a picture, there was a crash, and you send it to your friend or something, totally get it. But man, starting putting that thing out, and it's fine, it's your right, go ahead. But man, that's dangerous,
Right.
and I think you're kind of crossing a line, in my opinion. You're just a little bit too far.
You're not doing anything illegal.
That's
to some
right.
degree. To some degree, if you're in my scene and it becomes it can become evidence at some point. But there is freedoms. You have all that, but just
don't be a jerk about it. Come on.
I have people say this is my property. You can't make me get off of it. I mean, it was
no.
I've never in 25 years been to a crash scene and had so many people tell me no. I mean, it was very frustrating.
They said no as in
don't move back, or we'd ask people to move away, and they just said no. So we had to bring police line in and wrap police line and find cops to do that while we're trying to do CPR. I mean, you've never seen firemen and ambulance people. I mean, they were just drained at the end of this. And so for someone to criticize this scene or what law enforcement does, I'll battle you all day long. I have no problem doing that. So, and if you have a tip, or if you know of a tip, feel free to give me a call and we'll take care of that tip.
Yeah.
We can't, just because I say Ben Dryden does drugs doesn't mean I can go crash into your house, Ben, and search it. I'd love to. I'd love it if that was the law. But, if we started doing that, you guys would be on the other side of this. So.
Right. Yeah, and just be clear, Ben Dryden does not do drugs. That was just
Right. So,
yeah, and no, you're not taking. Obviously, when you come on, I'm going to ask you these questions, and we look at it from a law enforcement perspective. So you can only speak to that. You can speak to your role and law enforcement's role and what they did and the challenges that were there. That's what you're able to do, and that's when you come on. This isn't necessarily a pat on the back kind of a thing. It's walk us through. You can't speak for the family. You don't speak for the family. That's for the family to do. So I can't really get into that, but I can tell you about what we went through in our experience. I think that's important because you can put out press releases but all day, and you've been putting out a lot lately because there's a lot of things that are going on. But this is what we want to do. We want to talk about it and get more of the human element to it. And I've always appreciated you coming on and doing that.
Right. And our goal, 100%, Mr. Olson wants is what I want. We will work till midnight tonight if we can find a tip that gets us there. But people have to tell us that information. I would love for it to happen. But right now, that's part of our active investigation and is still very active. And we are following up on all the tips that we receive, like we do on every case. So,
that one's weird though, because we've heard before if you sent a press release and there was someone that was arrested for, like that one thing I keep bringing that up, like the monkeys in this barn and all this pot or something. That was just the greatest story ever, greatest pot story ever. And it's what are you doing? Focus on the meth, but I've never heard it when it comes to this. Like what? An accident and a scene and there's deaths and all the stuff involved and you need to handle the other stuff. I don't care what anyone is doing. I saw in the press release it said operating a motor vehicle while under the influence of a controlled substance. Obviously, that tells me it's not alcohol or that's what it wasn't more of. And I don't know if there was that stuff there. That'll all come out when there's a complaint filed, if a complaint and or charges are filed. Correct. Assume that they will be, and we'll know more information then. But in terms of what anyone else was doing in that car, we've had a lot of emails sent to us and they say, did you know this? And did you know this? And about what was happening in the car. You know what? I don't care. I couldn't care less. That has nothing to do with anything. First of all, 2 of these young girls are dead. Right. So what are we talking about? So for me, I just want to know what's going to happen with the adult. And do you have a timeline? Do you talk to the DA in terms of, is this like a week, a month?
There are certain time parameters on these cases, but I don't know what they are. I don't know what step we're in on that. That is totally out of the hands of the Sheriff's Department. That is between a judge, the DA, and DHS. So the Sheriff's Department doesn't get a say in this. We've presented our case, and it's not done. The reconstruction takes months to do. The blood that we collected takes months to get back. I'd love it to be done today. I'd love it the drawing to be back and the blood to be back, but that's not the reality of CSI. It's not right. CSI. It's not.
You can't wrap it up in 45 minutes.
Right. I would love it. 100% would love it. And hopefully, if I think you have Eric Toney on in a week or next week.
I think this Friday, actually.
Oh, this Friday. And I think the crime lab needs to do that. I mean, if we can process these cases faster, get the blood results back for our OWIs. Some of our OWIs are taking 6 to 8 months to get back, just on a regular OWI, no injuries, no death. And so I assume this one will go to the top of the list. I don't know how the crime lab works. And so hopefully we'll get the results back and we'll be able to tell what was in the system, and then we can finish our investigation and have more information to interview people with. But people also don't have to talk to the police. I mean, people tell us to go pound sand all the time, and not in this case, but in other cases.
Sure.
And I would love to get tons of information and go arrest people, but people need to cooperate with the police and tell us things ahead of time. And I understand that people do tell us tips and bad things do happen. But again, just because you tell me a tip about something doesn't mean we can go crash into their house and search them or arrest them or stop them. But we do follow up on all these tips.
Lastly, to kind of put a bow on this one, and if anyone has questions, they can certainly ask, but we have a whole bunch more to get through. So right. The 16-year-old, you also brought up that it's going to be interesting. What if that individual, regardless of the blood that comes back and the OW and all that stuff, there still was a driver, regardless of the age, but a driver that was driving, and there are 2 deceased individuals, in this case, of course, teenage girls. Mm-hmm. Someone has to be held accountable, and of course that is going to be the driver. But at 16, adult or charges a minor or not charged as an adult. How does that process work? Who decides that?
Who decides what? If
he's a charge as an adult. If there is a charge, which I'm just assuming that there is, but that's just, you're not saying that. I'm saying, I mean, jeepers, someone's going to be held accountable, and I'm assuming it's going to be the driver. But at 16, who decides is that individual going to be charged as an adult or not? Is that a judge? Is that a DA? How does that work?
A judge, 100%. It goes in front of there's an official hearing that will be held.
Okay.
And more people will understand this with the Lily Peters case in Chippewa Falls.
Right.
Because that's exactly what's going on over there. Now, that's a lot more serious. I'm not saying these are comparable. I'm saying the age of the kid with a crime, whatever the crime is. So a lot of people they're going through the same thing in Chippewa Falls right now, and I don't know where that process is. I don't know how that process works. It's a similar process as what I was told. You got to get waived into adult court, or you don't get waived into adult court. One of those two things will happen.
Okay.
He will stay a juvenile, or he will be an adult, and he will be charged. And that process, I don't know because I've never gone through it. So
if I'm understanding correctly, the DA is the one who first has to be the one to decide to, in any scenario, not just this, but the DA is the one who decides, or the district attorney's office, sometimes an ADA, but the DA's office decides, are we going to charge as an adult? Then it goes to that court thing, and then I'm sure the defense then makes a motion to no, it's got to be a minor, and then a judge ultimately decides, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
And will the judge be from here? Do we know is there a judge attached to this already or not? Where that's way down the road?
I don't know it'll be a judge from here more than likely. I don't know that any judge will recuse himself, but I don't know the answer to that. More than likely, it'll be a judge from here.
Okay. If anyone has any questions, let us know, but we're going to move on to a few more others. We've got
just wrap that one up. I just want to say thank you for the support that people have given. Thank you for the support of the kids and their families. Our hearts go out to these families, and we'll continue to work on this case and handle this case. And if you have information, please forward it on. We have detectives and officers and deputies working this case. But again, our thoughts and prayers are out to the family. And I can't say enough about the Cameron Fire Department, the Lakeview Medical Center, 2 helicopters. I mean,
when's the last time you had 2 helicopters, by the way?
Never. I mean, it probably happened. I don't want to say never, but
sure.
It's been a while. I've never, and I'm there late. When I get to a scene and it's still active, it's a bad scene because I'm not the first person that's called. So I was at home, got dressed, changed clothes, got to the scene, and they're still actively working it. And I just, hats off to the Cameron Fire and the LMC and paramedics. I mean, they were sweating when they got done. I mean, they were working. Mayo ambulance was there too, 2 lifelink helicopters. I mean, it was a tremendous scene, and trying to figure out what happened and who was who, and it was chaotic. It was early. It's a populated area. I understand all that, but just hats off to them. And our thoughts and prayers are with the families. No parent should have to go through that. Mm-hmm. And this is our first youth tragedy in probably about 13 years. So we're gonna turn this into some good. It's just gonna take a little bit of while to turn this into something good, but we're gonna turn this into something good. And it's gonna hurt. It's gonna sting some kids, but we've got to make this good, and we've got to do better as adults and as kids, and we will do better.
You said that when you get to a scene and there's still an active scene, it's okay. Because you're right, 911, then everyone goes out and et cetera. So by the time you get there, it's usually not that. It was actually somewhat similar when I woke up at 4 that following morning. I turn my emails on and I see a press release from you, and it was at 1:06 in the morning. And I'm not kidding, my heart just sank right away. And I'm like, uh-oh. Because you don't send out a press release at 1 in the morning. Because most things you can wait. Hey, we arrested somebody for OWI. We did. It'll wait till the, daytime hours. But getting a press release from you at 1 o'clock in the morning, I figured probably not good. Probably not good. So last week, we were supposed to, or 2 weeks ago when we did a show, we were supposed to talk about this last week, which we didn't do a show. So I just want to touch on a few of these things. And Joshua Studer, the headline was convicted sex offender to be homeless following release in Barron County. That individual was supposed to be released October 11th, I think a week ago today. Mm-hmm. Any status on that? Is the individual homeless that you know of?
He's released. He's homeless, and if he finds a residence, they'll let us know. That is not a decision made by the sheriff's department. While we put the information out there and we catch some of the grief for it, that is not a situation. The state of Wisconsin probation and parole makes that decision. They have to follow certain laws too. I'm not saying they just randomly said this guy
That's
home.
good.
I mean, yeah. So you have to have. There's laws that you get. There's rights that you have. People have rights, whether they want to be homeless or not. That is a right. If I want to sleep in my car, I can sleep in my car. It's not illegal to sleep in your car. In this case or any case, I mean, we run into that of why doesn't the Benjamin House help people? Why doesn't this do that? You have to. It's no different than treatment. If you want to get help for meth, we'll help you for getting off meth, but it's your right to decide that. So,
Yeah.
So he is homeless. It's not a decision that the sheriff's department made. I'd prefer he be in a controlled setting. He has to charge his ankle bracelet every day. We can figure out where he is if we need to. He has certain places he can't be under the rules. I believe he charges his ankle thing at probation and parole every day in their lobby. So I don't know the status of it, except we've zero complaints on him, and there's no issues that I know of involving him.
Yay. I wish there was other alternatives, and I know that costs money, and whether taxpayer money or there's businesses, I don't know if they could actually make on that. But we talk about recidivism, and I don't know, getting out of prison and you're homeless. That's tough. Okay, so hey, speaking of meth, since you need to start, busting people for meth, our headline was man sentenced to 9 years for meth trafficking. This was on May 26, 2021. Justin Baumgard traveled to Barron County after agreeing to sell 3 ounces of meth to a confidential informant. When Baumgard arrived at the location of the anticipated drug deal, law enforcement officers made contact with him, searched his car. Inside the car, officers found bags containing 116 grams of meth. Mm-hmm. I say it that way because it sounds like a lot, but I really don't know if it is.
It is a lot.
Baumgard was later interviewed by law enforcement and admitted to trafficking meth and estimated distributing 40 pounds of meth in Wisconsin. Now that sounds like a lot because I said it that way, but I don't know. 40 pounds of meth. It does sound like a lot. I don't think I've read anything in the past where they referred to the quantity of meth in pounds.
Right. We don't get that very much. I agree with you. But so can I pat myself on the back?
Yes, you absolutely can on that one.
Sorry. I'm irritated. If you can't tell. I'll get over it. I'll be fine. Yeah, that is a lot. And that is a compliment to our drug unit, who we would love to have this every day in the paper, all of these, but that was a lot of methamphetamine, and that is still an issue. We still work on that every single day. We have 2 full-time drug detectives that do that, and that is people working together. That's multiple departments working together. That's people doing everything they can do to keep these drugs. That's a lot of, it's about $100 a gram if you look at that. So,
well, how many grams are in a pound?
Some will have to answer that. I don't know the answer. So,
that's good to know though. So about $100 for a gram.
When you buy in bulk, it's cheaper, obviously.
It just sounds funny when you say it that way. Like even drug dealers, all right, it's $100 for a gram, but you get 2 grams. It's only 50% for the second gram. It's just weird. I've never thought about drug dealers having sales or deals.
Well, if you're buying a pound, you get it for.
It's terrible.
It's buy one get one free today.
BOGO for a drug dealer. That's silly.
No, but I appreciate that is a federal. We use our federal resources to help us with that. There's a special prosecutor for that, so it does take some of the load off of our Barron County judges and DAs, and so we do work on that. So
453 grams. That's such a bizarre number. I wonder if Tiffany's just screwing with us. 453 grams in a pound. So then 40 times 453. Is that how we? Am I doing that right?
40.
What?
It's $100 a gram.
So 18,000. Google told me, Tiffany said. All right, so that's 18,120 grams for 40 pounds. Yeah, times $100. That's 1.8 million. If I did that right.
No, 453 grams.
in a pound. There was
Oh, yeah,
40
times
pounds.
40.
So I took 40 times 453 and then
Yeah.
times 100. That's 1.8 million. Unless they
Yeah.
got a deal. You buy in bulk, we give you discounts.
And that's over time, obviously. That's not one deal. So that's over, I don't know how long he was doing.
Oh, okay, per pound.
So, yeah, that's not this
No.
year.
Yeah, right. No, but still. Yeah, anyway. Hey, speaking of, well, here's a marijuana one. You're going to love it. And this one, by the way, I should point out, this wasn't Fitzy or the Barron County. It was in Jackson County. Our headline was Rice Lake man arrested after police discover marijuana, open intoxicants in vehicle. Rashawn Mitchell, 33 of Rice Lake, was arrested. Vehicle under the influence, first offense with a 5-month-old in the vehicle. Wisconsin stopped the vehicle in Jackson County for a cracked windshield, license plate violation. The trooper detected indicators of criminal activity, which I've never seen that before. Here's some indicators of criminal activity from the driver. Search was done on the vehicle. Mitchell admitted smoking THC earlier. They also located marijuana, THC edibles, paraphernalia, and open intoxicants. I know it's a marijuana thing, man, but that's just something that people. I know anytime we talk about this, it's kind of a mixed, the topic of marijuana and legalizing. But you hear all the time about, well, marijuana doesn't hurt anyone, and I just would be really careful about that. I'm not advocating for or against legalizing this stuff, or people should be able to do it. I don't care, whatever. But I'm kind of glad not glad, but I'm okay with someone getting arrested and charged with being under the influence of a controlled substance in this case, and it just being marijuana, just marijuana. It still impairs you, regardless of what the drug is. It could even be like prescription drugs. Yeah. You're impaired. So,
yep, 100% agree. And you can't be with a kid in the car. And again, hats off.
I can't. 5-month-old. My goodness gracious. Yeah. Alcohol contributing factor in UTV crash in Barron County. Alcohol that left 2 injured. The involved UTV was spotted near the crash scene by responding deputies, and a short pursuit ensued, ending at a nearby residence. This was like a little over a week ago, I think. Anything you can tell us about that?
Yeah, I don't even remember that one. But yes, it was a crash involving a UTV. It was all adults, and so we do have some charges being referred to the district attorney's office on that one, and we're continuing to work on that. There's no life-threatening injuries to those people, but I believe one of them might have been flown out. I think if I remember that one, that was the day before we had the major crash that we handled here in Barron County. So we sent out, what did we send out? 6 or 7 press releases in a week, I think we had. So yeah, it's been crazy. And so, but yes, that one has been charged, and we're handling that one. And I believe everyone is recovered from that one.
Okay. And then also on that same day, this was right before the other big incident that we were talking about earlier, crash on Highway 53. This was on a Saturday morning because I remember I was having breakfast with my dad, my brother, my mom, and I get the notification from the State Patrol saying that there was a crash. That it was closed, and my dad and my mom were heading to Rice Lake. We're down there, and I said, hey, there's a crash down there. And then on Monday, you sent this out. Single vehicle crash, closed Highway 53 for nearly 2 hours. Initial investigation shows a truck driven by John Bayer, 79 of Arkansas, Wisconsin. Where's Arkansas, Wisconsin? What county is that?
I don't know what county it is. It's down by the La Crosse area, somewhere down in there, I believe.
Okay. He was traveling south on Highway 53, lost control, struck a guardrail, rolled, ejected, and Bayer was pronounced deceased at the scene. So that was also going on the day before. And this is over, I think it was on a week. It was a Saturday morning.
Saturday morning at 9 o'clock, my phone went off, and it was right on 53, right between the Rice Lake and Cameron exit. And I don't know if it was medical or fell asleep, or I don't know the details of that one. We're waiting for some results on that one to come back. That was a single vehicle, single person, very violent crash, though. I mean, I've never seen a guardrail get bent and back into the road. And so that one was, again, Cameron Fire. Hats off to them. They closed the road. They had all kinds of people yelling at them saying, why are you closing the road? Is there an act? No, we just closed the road on Saturday morning for fun.
Yeah, just to screw with you. Yeah.
I mean, firemen had to slow down cars. Everybody's in a hurry. I get it. I understand it. But we're not doing it to intentionally say, you know what, we hope you're late for wherever you're going. That was our goal today.
You just want to show off all your equipment and your lights and pat yourself on the back.
Right. That's what we're just wanting
That's what we're doing. That's it.
So, yeah, and I'm kind of sarcastic, but that's what we deal with. And I think it's important for people to know what we deal with. And maybe I haven't done a good job over the last couple of years telling people that it's getting worse, but we're not going to put up with it.
No, that's not true.
Yeah.
You absolutely have.
Yeah. So
you absolutely have.
So, because it takes a village to raise kids. It takes a village to make us better. And if we all are better at this, the firemen blocking the road weren't doing it to hopefully you could get lost and take a different route. We had to close the road. It's evidentiary purposes. It's safety purposes for all the people that were out there working. And so it's a tragic event. We've got to make sure people don't take pictures and send it off before family gets notified. We have to race to these scenes now because the media is finding out about these scenes before we even get there. Pictures are going on Facebook before we even get there. And so we're changing the way we have to respond to some of this stuff. And we're putting out press releases immediately. We're, even the State Patrol does it differently now because they used to not, used to have to go through and a sergeant used to have to sign it to someone else. And now they're sending them out right away. You get them right away. So, but we've got to be better. And that's just easy.
That's just it. And this isn't like what I was saying earlier about just be better. And when it comes to like taking pictures or sharing information, it's certainly your right to do that. I'm not saying don't do it because you're hurting law enforcement or firefighters, or I'm saying think about the parents and the relatives of people that are involved in stuff like this. That's not where they should be hearing it from. Just think about that, right? Just that. So it doesn't mean you can't share information, but just be careful. Because just because you could doesn't mean you should.
And not everybody has a driver's license in their pocket. I mean, that was part of our problem with some of these kids is we couldn't identify them.
Sure.
Because they don't have a driver's license on them. They were 14 and 15 years old.
Yeah.
They were in a car that wasn't registered to them. Their parents weren't standing next to them.
Yeah. And you never know whose vehicle that belonged to. They could be borrowing a vehicle, and if there's a license plate on there, and then, Facebook detectives, they run things and go, well, we know who it is. And now all of a sudden you're contacting that family saying, hey, you were like, no, my kid's right here next to me. Right. I'm just saying, it's so wildly dangerous.
And so we were trying to gather information to make sure we could get to these parents in time. And it's not like these kids were conscious. They can tell us their name of their mom and give us their phone number. I mean, so it was a big deal to make sure we got it right. We sure don't want to go to someone's house and say, hey, Ben, your kid was in a crash.
Riley's dead. Yeah.
Next, yeah.
What?
I mean, that's the horror story for law enforcement. So we've got to be better, and we can be, and it's easy to do. It's just we've got to take the steps.
We're gonna call him. So my wife Drew tells me I shouldn't call some of our readers and some of our listeners idiots. She said it's just in bad form, not very professional. So we're just gonna call them Chucks from now on. So all the Chucks can sue me, but don't be a Chuck. All right. I don't know why I'm just picking that name because I don't know a Chuck. So just don't be a Chuck. There's a question here. Would it help the young man in the accident if people sign a petition to have him tried as a minor? Do petitions, I think the bigger question here would be that, I'm sorry, you certainly can answer that question. I don't
know the answer to that.
Right, but do petitions, does that ever get weighed into anything in court? I don't think so.
I mean, honestly, I don't have a say in it. I don't know. I don't think regular people should have a say. It should be the families involved, the people, the district attorney, and the judge. And
I agree.
I mean, there's something about keeping the community safe, and that's where I have an opinion. That's where I get an opinion. I get to decide who, some safety aspects. I have some of that. So, so we're really, I just appreciate all these comments. I just, that's what we need.
Well, maybe not all the comments.
No, I appreciate that.
Actually, no, that's fine too. And you've always, to your credit, you will answer anything. You're like the on the what is it, anchor man. You just put it on the prompter and you're gonna read it. Like, no, you'll answer anything and you'll talk about anything. But it also, interestingly, and obviously you in your line of work, being a sheriff, in a lot of cases, there's always, and with me running DrydenWire, where there's some parallels there. You're always gonna have critics. You're always gonna have chucks.
I'm fine with that.
But there are times, I mean, even just earlier, I noticed, I'm sure everyone's watching noticed, it bothered you. And it should, because you take that personally as well. Like, what? No.
It's different when you call me out for not doing my job, and I didn't do my job. We've been doing our job every day for the last 15 days, and we've had, 5 dead people. Do I want that? Absolutely not. 100% no. We were at 0 before this. For the first 10 months, we were at 0. Now we have 5 traffic fatalities. So it has nothing to do with what law enforcement's doing. It has nothing to do with you. But the positivity's got to come out. These good comments, we've got to take down some of this negativity on Facebook. Anger is like a poison that comes out in meanness, and we've got to change that. We've got to change that, and everybody here is doing that, and we're there. We've just got to be more vocal, whether it's at your city council, your library, whatever it is. Be more positive. Support that. The support that I feel and that our deputies feel is unbelievable, especially in this time. This accident affected me more than anyone, and whether it's because of the age of my kids, the stage of my career, whatever it is, this one affected me differently. And maybe it's because we've had so much so quickly. I don't know. October's been a bad month. There's a lot of anniversaries for major events, the Kloss case, the Natalie case in Chautauqua, the airplane crash. All of those were October events, and we're we're trying to, honor and respect and thank people for the work that they've done for us in the past, and we have all these new tragedies. So whatever it is, I don't know what it is, but this positivity has got to come out, and I think that's what needs to come out of this case. We're going to use this case. We're going to use that picture of the car. I want to go to schools and talk about it. The choices that you make today affect what happens tomorrow. That's as simple as what we do when we go to our high schools and talk. The choices you make today affect what happens to you tomorrow. You can choose to go out and drink tonight. You may not get caught. If you do get caught, it might affect your grades, your athletic scholarship, your whatever it is, whatever situation is. If you choose to speed, you might get a speeding ticket. You might not get caught. You might not ever get caught. That's the chance you're taking.
I know, but as I've told you before, what scares me the most, like drunk driving, if I'm just loaded, and as we've talked, have an exit strategy. Don't wait to make a decision, until after you've been drinking, because you're not going to make probably a very smart decision. My fear wouldn't be getting a ticket or getting caught, which that would be huge, right? I mean, I'd be in a booking report on DrydenWire, and everyone would just go to town on that. Oh my goodness, it'd be huge. But that isn't my fear, actually. My fear is not paying attention, swerving, and hitting a minivan with a mom and her 2 kids, and one of the kids and the mom is dead or something. Right. That's my fear. It isn't about actually getting in trouble. It's like literally killing someone because I was inebriated. That scares the snot out of me. Mm-hmm.
But anyway, I got off topic again.
No, that's all right. Yeah, and by the way, like what I've been doing lately, when I see negative comments or somebody that says something negative, like on someone else's page, I'll kill them with kindness, but I kind of go after them a little bit. Right? I mean, stand up when somebody's saying, you were saying earlier about it takes a village. And when I was doing a chat, someone just brought up Brian Cole. Consider taking Brian Cole to the presentation of schools. That's a great idea. We had talked on one of our recent shows that I don't really judge other people. You know me and my faith and what I believe, but I don't push on anyone else. But and God tells us not to judge other people. But it's different when it comes to other Christians. We are supposed to hold each other accountable and help each other. And I think that's something I've been kind of doing a little bit more of when it comes to like people that are commenting negatively on someone else's page. Again, I don't go after them. I'm not mean about it. But no. That was rude, and that was mean, and I don't know why you feel, and it's interesting how many people end up liking stuff like that, and then everyone kind of is like, yeah, there's no place for that here. So I think the positive people can do more positive by kind of calling out the negative people in the world.
And I'm not doing it for me. I don't need it. I want you guys to support law enforcement. I don't come on this show for me or to pat myself on the back or to have you feel sorry for me or do anything like that. I want you to continue to support law enforcement, our local firemen, our ambulance people. That's what I come on this show to talk about because they're the bigger story. It isn't about me. I get the good with the bad, and I'll take the bullets. That's fine. I'm 100% okay with that. I will take them, and as long as they don't have to. But that's what I love. That's why I do this show. It's a passion for me now. And this is, you've tripped my trigger because I didn't know where I wanted to go with this, and I wanted good to come out of this, and there will be good that will come out of this, and I have the opportunity to make that good shine, and we're going to do it. And so I appreciate that, but I'm not looking for any kudos for myself. I appreciate all of them. But
Well, you're going to get them anyway.
But continue to support our cops and our firemen
Yeah.
and our ambulance people because
Yeah.
our volunteer firemen, I've said it a million times on this show,
Yeah.
are unbelievable. Our full-time firemen in Rice Lake, but our firemen in general are the best. So, but we've got to talk to our kids better. Everyone has got to go out and talk to their kids about this crash. We don't need to not talk about it. We need to talk about all of these press releases. Talk about every one of these press releases. Follow us on Facebook. And talk to them about every one of these. Hey,
Look, here's a great example, Susan. I always tell my kids, call me if they drank at a party. I would come and get them. Get them. They wouldn't be in trouble. I would rather where'd it go? Rather be arrived alive, and we would talk about it later. It worked. It was all about safety. Yeah, I think sometimes that's hard for a parent because you just have this, either you don't really talk about it, you just assume those things. Yeah, I think it's probably harder. I think most kids are perfectly fine having these conversations. I think it's the adults that actually probably struggle with it a little bit more. Because you don't want to say, okay, it's like wearing this will be a great one. This will be in like CNN or Huffington Post or an article using this analogy. It's like the people that say they don't tell, kids about, condoms because that promotes sex. It's, okay, I kind of get that theory, but not really. I mean, abstinence, I'm just saying, how about you would just educate them? And I don't need the school to do it. I'm a parent. I have those conversations. No, I don't want, Kenneth and Ren and the kids doing, sleeping around. Of course not. What are you kidding? But, I'm not going to be dumb about it. Let's have a conversation.
Right. That's what's got to come out of this is more conversation. Bad things happen in Barron County. We know that they happen in Barron County. We're not small enough where nothing bad happens. So there.
All right. We have two more quick things here because I know we're up at time. But last week we didn't have a show. 2 weeks ago we only had a half an hour show. So I just will, federal grand jury, there was a Barron County Postal employee charged with theft of mail. The indictment alleges that between April 7th and May 30th of 2022, Joshua Kopis, 37 of Cumberland, stole Menard's rebate checks from the mail. That was a DOJ, Western District of Wisconsin, Department of Justice press release.
That was Cumberland, I believe Rice Lake. Oh, that one wasn't us
right.
that I know of. Yeah, you can't do that. Don't steal mail.
Yeah, especially when you're the mailman. That's right, wasn't it? Yeah, Well, it's a postal employee charged with the theft of the mail.
Yeah, I don't know how it went. So.
Whatever. All right, and then lastly, this was just published yesterday from Cumberland. 3-hour standoff in Cumberland results in arrest. Anything you want to add there? I think the SWAT team was out there. I'm sorry, not SWAT. I call it SWAT. Whatever you guys call it.
Emergency response team.
SWAT, right.
Yeah. Right.
And that ended safely. I guess there's something about a man with a knife.
Yep. And again, kudos to law enforcement. 3 hours standing in the cold and getting this person to come out using all of the tools necessary to us, and that's why we.
Oh yeah, I thought I'd seen it was like bean bags and gas and
gas, and so that we don't have to go in and hurt somebody, and so yeah.
What's CS? Yeah, there we go. CS gas and less lethal beanbag rounds. What's CS?
Tear gas and mace, OC. I don't remember what CS stands for. It's something. Yeah.
So apparently there's no test to be a sheriff. Okay, got it.
Anybody can do it.
Anybody, I don't know. Okay. Well, my goodness, we had so much to go through. Thank you, as always, for walking us through this. Your transparency, your willingness to come on, even if. Now, by the way, last week you had called me. I was kind of figuring you were going to call, because it was that early morning that we put out that press release, and that was supposed to be our show. You called around 7 o'clock. We had a conversation, decided you were the one that said, there's A, way too much going on. B, there's more questions we have answers to. And plus, you're in the middle of an active investigation of two girls in critical condition.
Right.
Where's I going with that?
I don't know. That's why we canceled the show.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So it wasn't we got a lot to go. It wasn't that you didn't want to talk about this, or it just, that wasn't the time. So that was the reason why we chose not to. It wasn't that we couldn't have still done it, but it's this, the optics are bad. It doesn't look good. Plus, again, you're still actively working on things. So that was the reason that we decided not to do the show. That was your call. I 100% support that. I think that was only the third time all year that we didn't do a show.
Right.
And I think that was for, probably a smart decision.
Yeah, and Dirk says it's going to be warm this weekend, so get out, enjoy the warm weather. Maybe hopefully it lasts longer than this weekend, but it's going to be really nice this weekend. Go out, enjoy it, hug your kids.
Yeah, keep them close,
smile,
man.
and let's go make a difference. It's awesome. Thank you for everything that everybody said and has said over the week, and it's awesome. So
you're welcome, Fitzy. You're welcome. I'll say you're welcome. Collect for everyone. What do you have coming up this week?
I'm going to watch Jace play some hockey in Madison. I don't know what day yet, but we're going there. And
this weekend, my son Kenneth will be down in Madison this weekend for I don't know, bike race or something.
Oh, yeah? Are you going? You'd have to leave that.
No.
Homecoming in Madison.
I went to Eau Claire a few weeks ago to watch it, but I'm not driving to Madison for a 45-minute race. So no, he's going with the team and friends and stuff.
Gotta live a little. Enjoy life.
I could live a little, enjoy life right here in the safety and comfort of my own home. This Thursday, I'll be chatting with Gabe Magnifici, Representative Gabe Magnifici, and then Friday, as you mentioned, Eric Toney. Yeah, that's it, man.
All right, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. For Barron County Sheriff Chris Fitzgerald, I'm Ben Dryden. You've been watching Positive Tuesday with Ben and Fitzy, presented by Professional Exteriors and Interiors. With nearly 20 years of experience, this locally owned and operated business provides quality work both on the outside and on the inside of your home or business. So give them a call today, 715-520-2271. I'll see everyone on Thursday. I'll be chatting with Republican nominee in Wisconsin's 28th Assembly District race, Gabe Magnifici. And again on Friday, when the Republican nominee for Wisconsin Attorney General, Eric Toney, will be back on for a second time to discuss his campaign. Only 21 days to the election, Fitzy. 21 days. We have to have our predictions sure to go wrong for our area races.
Whoever's on the show should win. I don't know.
Yeah. All right. As for Fitzy and I, we'll see you back here next Tuesday. So until then, thank you for watching. Thank you so much, everyone, for all these positive comments. It impacts us, and hopefully it impacts you guys just as much. Thank you, and have a blessed day.